I always love when Andre really builds me up. Great. So, do you guys listen to Moose Radio?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might have heard the ad by Farina Ristorante. Maybe you know the one where they're like, oh, Farina Ristorante, fine Italian home cooked dining, whatever. And then they say, Farina Ristorante. Remember, you don't have to sleep with us to eat with us. And every time I hear it, I'm like, man, I was looking forward to sleeping with Lorenzo. How is he here? I mean, or at least Fabio, if Lorenzo's already, all tied up in the kitchen. But like, I just keep forgetting to ask, like, is it still an option to sleep with you before I eat with you, or is that just off the table? Because I mean, I can do on the table, off the table, what have you. So I'm a Russian Jew who grew up in Alabama, so I have issues. There was a news item just a couple of days ago in Birmingham, Alabama, which is where I grew up, and you can check this on your phones, just not right now, like eyes up here, but you can check this afterwards. There was a goat. His name was Billy Goat, and he ran away from somebody's yard, and he was just running wild all over Birmingham, Alabama. And it took them a week to finally get this goat, roped up. So for a week, he was just roaming the streets, just couldn't find his home, couldn't find where he belonged. And he went to like restaurants and compost heaps, just wasn't happy anywhere. And then one day, he poked his little head in through the doors of the Birmingham Jewish Community Center. And he looked around and he was like, yes, these are my people. And he stayed. That's finally where he decided to stay. And now he's a summer camp counselor. And he's teaching the little Jewish children all about, organic, sustainable cabbage farming, and how to grow horns and hooves to scare the little Baptists on Sunday mornings. Being a first-generation Russian Jewish immigrant has had some other effects on me. Like, for example, when I watch modern cartoons with my kids, it's jarring. Like SpongeBob, or like those nursery rhymes where they sing. It's just like bright, cheerful, colorful, happy colors. Just everything is so joyful. It's just too joyful. Like, I want them to tone down the joy. Because I grew up with Soviet cartoons. Everything is sepia tone. The sound quality is kind of bad. There's this like slow, sad, orchestral music going the whole time. And there are animal characters, but they're all depressed. Like, there's this one character, he's a squirrel, and he hops around, and this is the song of the squirrel. I don't really sing much, so please, forgive me. But he says, this is a translation. He says, I just sit and gnaw my acorns, crack, crack, crack. Crack, crack, crack. Every day without a hurry, I just sit and gnaw my acorns. Crack, crack, crack. Crack, crack, crack. I am never melancholy. All day I sing so happily. La, 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 la. So, like, this is the happiest character on Russian television. So, speaking of emotional, disturbances, I was just watching some stand-up on Netflix before going to bed a couple days ago, just to not feel my feelings, and it was Patton Oswalt's special. I forget the name of it, but I was just getting to that sweet spot, right in between, somewhere in between like entertained and numb, where I can just turn off the light and fall asleep. And then he starts talking about when his wife passed away, and he had to tell their young daughter all about it, and it was like the worst day of his life. And I was like, fuck you, Patton. This is not part of the deal, okay? I am here to postpone sadness every day of my life until eventually I don't wake up one morning. That's my goal. Like that's how to live a rich, full, and meaningful life, okay? And where am I? So I have something a little embarrassing to admit. I don't think I would get any sleep at all, speaking of sleep, if it wasn't for pot. It just helps me calm down enough to fall asleep. I can relax knowing it's right there on the bedside table, you know, if I need it before bed. If I need it, or, you know, just like in the middle of the night. Maybe some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Yes, yeah, oh, phew. Okay, it's good. I thought I'd be the only one who uses a chamber pot. It's comforting to know. One time, a friend came over, and her 4-year-old daughter saw my little pink chamber pot, and she was like, "What's that, Mommy? What's that little bowl?" And her mom is like, "Well, this is this, you know, kind of old-fashioned potty that, you know, Masha's using to potty train her daughter, and, you know, her children." And I was like, "Actually, no. Actually, I urinated in that. Actually, I'm potty training myself." But I really need that because there's a staircase and a hallway between my bedroom and the nearest washroom. So if I go on that sort of a hike in the middle of the night, I cannot fall back asleep. And I would do that hike like 5 times a night. Because basically, like, I have this weird thing. I have to pee as the very last thing I do before I sleep. So if I pee and then I yawn, I have to pee again. And even if I do pee last thing before I lie down, it takes me so long to fall asleep, and I wake up in the middle of the night. So most nights, I end up with this quandary that has plagued my immortal soul for years. To pee or not to pee? That is the question. Whether to nobler, in the bladder to suffer, the vague pokes and prods of negligible urinary pressure, or to take arms against a sea of urine, and by releasing the pelvic floor muscles, end them. Thank you. Thank you. And I've only slightly got to pee again, right? So do I do it, or do I stay in bed and just try to fall asleep? So once I have that thought, the one answer is I have to pee. Because the only way, you know, my mind is so laser focused on my bladder that the only way out of this dilemma is through my urethra. But basically, it's so easy. Like if I use a chamber pot, I don't have to leave my chamber, and I know it. I have, like, you know, the muscle memory down. I just execute the maneuver in total darkness. I don't have to turn the light on. Throw my legs over the side of the bed, squat, reach for the chamber pot, relieve myself, slowly slide the pot back into position so as not to cause any waves, and hop back into bed. Most nights it works perfectly. But there are some flaws. Like one time my son came into my bedroom at night and somehow managed to throw my noise-canceling headphones into the chamber pot, which was not empty at the time. But I never used them again, so, you know, I'm not a monster. And the other issue, I'll end with this, the other issue is sometimes when you pee, sometimes another kind of darker friend wants to come along for the ride. So I'm pretty sure that one of these days I'll feel like, yeah, you know, I just have to pee. I'll squat over my chamber pot. I'll be like, maybe I need a fart or something, and just shit all over my bedroom carpet.